So, Willy, you
Yeah.
and I, we know a lot about each other. Some might even say intimately. But what's one thing that the listening audience doesn't know about you? Now, you have to think back over 40 some odd shows and consider what we have and haven't covered. But can you admit something right now in front of our listenership, in front of all the lurkers, that you've never told? Maybe you've never even told me.
You want me to incriminate myself? Because I have many incriminating stories.
I mean, we've already talked about you cheating your way into college, so what else is there?
That's a real incriminating story. This one is more or less just like a really bad example of me.
Okay.
Are you sure? Okay, but this is tit for tat, Scott. So if I say one, you need to yes, exactly. You need to think of an incriminating one for yourself, because this one's pretty bad. So I am early 20s. The girl that I'm not there anymore. The girl that I was dating at the time, we lived in the building that you and I ended up living next to each other in.
The Roach Motel. Yep.
Correct. Well, there weren't roaches. There were a lot
Centipede
of centipedes.
Motel.
Ugh. Yeah. Anyways, so we're living in this building, and it's the two of us in a really small, like 600 square foot, one bedroom apartment, one bathroom. Mm-hmm. She would take, her showers would last like 40 minutes. I don't know what the heck she was doing in there, but she probably had some other nefarious things she was trying to do when she was in there. Not a good human being. We've talked about this in the past. So Scott, I would have to use the bathroom like real bad. You know that I have a bladder of like a 12-year-old boy, right?
Sure. Yes. We'll go with that reference. Not like a 90-year-old man.
Sure. I considered myself younger at the time, but yeah, I guess like a 90-year-old man. So where did I didn't really have a place to go to the bathroom.
Your girlfriend's in the bathroom breaking the law, and you have to go to the bathroom. That's where you left off.
So where do I go?
That's a good question. Did you have Bandit at this time?
Yeah.
That's where I would have gone.
Ew. On my cat?
Well, he wouldn't have been in the litter box. His toilet. I would have used his toilet, Willy.
No, that's too much liquid. Cats don't pee that much, Scott. I know you can't. I know you're allergic to cats, so you wouldn't have them. Like a dog probably pees a little bit closer to a human, but I drink a lot of water. It's got to go somewhere. So we used to have cups. They were like giant pint glasses. So
No.
I would pee in a cup.
Oh.
And then I would pour it down the drain.
Oh.
And unfortunately, because we lived together for like 4 years, this was a common thing. It started where I would like get in my car and I would drive to the grocery store, use their bathroom, and buy breakfast, and then come home, because it was just on the street, right? It was like 2 blocks away.
Yeah, it's just right across the street.
But when I was like, all right, I'm lazy. I don't know. Have you ever, like, if you're camping or doing something where like you can't just like pee readily in the back of a car, right? On like a road trip.
Oh, I've done this before.
You have to like pee into a cup. It's warm and disgusting. There was definitely one time where I got really grossed out and the cup fell.
Oh, like while you were peeing into it?
Scott, it got everywhere.
Oh.
It was pee all over the place. Bandit stepped in
Pandemonium. Ugh. Wait, Bandit stepped in it?
it. No,
He came over and drank some.
he did. Yeah.
Well, that's better than like leaving it on the counter and like somebody came up and was like, "Oh, thanks, you poured a glass of beer for me." Okay, well, thank you for admitting that. It takes a lot to say you've done, something like that. So I and the listenership appreciate it. Now, as for my story, we don't have enough time, so let's get started with the show. Welcome to the front podcast of the internet. I am your co-host, Scott Gurrola, and with me always is my other co-host. Wait,
there's another one?
is there?
There might be.
Could there be?
There definitely could be.
Stay
Just
tuned.
not right now.
But anyway, main co-host number one.
Willy Mattson.
Hey, Willy, how you doing?
So just to get started in this week, because there is a ton of things for us to talk about, I think the topics that we've both alluded to, again, if you're new to the show, Scott and I don't tell each other what we're going to talk about. We have an idea because we're both on Reddit, but we don't really know. So in general, this is a surprise.
We also don't respond when somebody asks how they're doing. We just kind of like go into this diatribe of how things are gonna be going, but not really answering my
Fuck,
question.
you don't ask about my life.
Why don't
No,
you go piss in a mug, Willie?
You don't even know if I use that intro.
I know.
Now you just incriminated me no matter what. Also, yeah, peek behind the curtains. At some point, if we do a Patreon, we'll probably just upload our second intro or third intro or tertiary, right?
Right.
Over to those patrons.
All of the cold opens that never made it to the live show.
Yep. But I do want to say at the top of the episode that there's plenty of things we're going to talk about that could be triggering for some. We know that it's going to be a challenging episode. So buckle up.
Yeah, we're going to stir the pot up a little bit this week. We don't, well, at least anymore, we don't have a ton of serious subject matter that makes it into the show. But I think there are going to be several topics that come up time and time again where we just have to cover it because that's what people are talking about. And I know I've mentioned this before, but this week got real. And we could probably, I mean, considering what started today, next week's probably going to be a little bit real too.
What?
Where do we live right now, Willie? What state?
Earth.
Yes.
Minnesota.
Correct. Yep. So a big trial started today, and
it did.
We'll see what Reddit's interest level is in it. And even if not, we will probably have something to follow up on just because of local news and stuff. All right. So speaking of lawyers, Willie, this week I am introducing something we haven't talked about, I think, in a while or possibly ever, r/announcements. I know you're confused, but let me go further. This week, Spez, you/Spez, who, according to Willy's fine research, is the co-founder and CEO of Reddit,
Correct,
made a post that said an update on the recent issues surrounding a Reddit employee. Do you know what I'm talking about, Willy?
I saw this vaguely, but I didn't deep dive into this. I'm really happy you're bringing this up. This is, I think, an important topic.
Yeah, this is about the site itself. So I thought it was something that we should definitely talk about because I'm just going to do a quick read through here, if you don't mind. We would like to give you all an update on recent issues that have transpired concerning a specific Reddit employee, as well as provide you with context into actions that we took to prevent doxing and harassment. As of today, the employee in question is no longer employed by Reddit. We built a relationship with her at first as a mod and then through her contractor work on RPAN. We did not adequately vet her background before formally hiring her. For those who are confused, let me go into a little bit more detail. I remember earlier this week this is actually when I texted you saying like I pretty much have my stories for the week based on this alone.
Oh, got it. That was like Tuesday.
Yeah. There was a post called Chaos at Reddit as dozens of subreddits made private in protest at the site. And I was like, what is going on? Well, as it turns out, Reddit hired this person who all these subs started posting a picture of them and saying like, let Reddit know that they hired a pedophile and that they should, immediately fire them. And I was like, what's going on? There is an article that I will send you that will explain it a lot better.
So, Scott, as I read this article from metro.co.uk, a ton of Redditors took a deep dive into this person's background, claiming that they showed poor judgment, is not the right person for the role. All the way back in 2017, looks like she appointed her father as a campaign manager in politics.
Yeah, and her dad had been convicted of, I don't know if he was convicted, but he was charged with raping a 10-year-old girl. And the person who Reddit ended up firing actually supported him in his run for a political post. Yeah, it's UK politics, so it's a little bit foreign to me. No pun intended. But somehow this person eventually got to the point where Reddit was in a spot to make a formal hire, and they did. And in this announcements post, Spez goes on to say like kind of what they did and why they did it, because it looked like for a while that they were actually censoring a mod who was posting this person's name. And as you know, Reddit is sometimes a brigade for good or for bad. But they noticed that this person who hadn't done anything wrong other than what they felt was a report of a person who shouldn't be employed by Reddit, or at least used poor judgment. They just wanted to know why that person was getting more protections, and the moderator who was just trying to point it out was getting censored. So it was a big thing, because suddenly all of these subs were going private in basically censoring themselves as a way to get the word out that this person was still employed by Reddit, and they wanted their voices heard. Now, I mean, this is a big thing to happen for the entire site.
Yeah, I want to read the last paragraph here, just so you have an idea of where we're at now. It says, with regards to the issues over alleged censorship, some are concerned that Reddit's statement said the moderators of UK politics had been sanctioned for sharing personal information. However, news stories about the person at the focus here are in the public domain. In an updated statement, Reddit admin Land of Lobsters wrote, "Our intent was never to remove any and all mentions of this admin's name, just an overzealous automation when attempting to prevent doxing and harassment." But a Reddit user claimed that Reddit fucked up by trying to censor the discussion as much as possible. I feel like this bridges that line, or it's tickling the line of cancel culture, as well as was it in the right? It kind of feels like maybe she shouldn't have been employed at Reddit, but also Reddit maybe was censoring too much conversation to make themselves look the best.
Yeah, it's questionable at least to say why if this is what everybody is saying, why did you react this way?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you do a little bit more? But at the same time, they were also an employee of the company, and they have an obligation to make sure that no harm comes to them, at least from the mob. So,
in your opinion, how should we have handled this differently? I don't speak on behalf of Reddit. How should Reddit have handled this differently?
We are not financial advisors. We are not doctors, and we definitely don't work for Reddit. But if they wanted to hire us,
I still might say no.
Anyway, what I would have done differently, I would have had my crack team of moderators, or at least admins, immediately meet with whoever brought this up and say okay, what is going on and why is everybody reacting this way? And then I would have taken that information to what I'm assuming they have a similar corporate structure as everybody else, taking it to HR and said, fix this now. Definitely wouldn't have been censoring anybody bringing this type of serious information to light, right? If anything, you want to keep them out in the open so that people know that this person is, I guess, respected by the company. But this is a topic that we might have to do a deep dive in on an episode where we just talk about mods and admins and how the hierarchy of Reddit is run, because we don't know that communication, I guess, pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a circle? Is it a square?
It's a circle. It's round.
Is it
if there's a listener, here's what I would say. I think our audience is split. It's split between people who have no idea what the F is going on in Reddit. So when we say r/, they go, I don't know what that means, but I can interpret it as something. But then we have a decent amount of listeners who understand Reddit, understand the culture, and understand just the inner workings. If you're in that camp and you have a deep understanding of how this company functions, talk to us. I think we would like to probably invite somebody like that on the show and have them kind of talk through what that experience looks like.
That would be a fun AMA.
Now, Scott, there isn't a clean transition with this, but as this, to me, verged on cancel culture, this next story also had a lot of similarities between the two. So I have two stories to share with you, and it's all wrapped up in this amazing tale of Satanism, blood, Nike, in the church.
I mean, those all go together. Like those are in the like same Venn diagram, right? I would expect nothing less. I think I know what you're talking
Soros.
about.
I didn't say Bill Gates, but you know what? They're still in the Venn diagram, probably.
What about the space laser? Is it involved?
Always there, Scott. It's always there. I don't know what you're asking. But the main story that I found this week was actually around the church. It was around, it was from Our Futurology, and it was a deep dive into the decline of attendance at churches. But to me, I think something that's maybe a little bit more impactful to the majority of people, it's kind of taken a grasp on society, is Lil Nas X this week came out with a new song. So the name of the song, if you're unawares, is Montero, Call Me By Your Name.
And this is not an Old Town Road remix?
No. So it premiered March 25th, and it already has 39 million views at the time of recording this.
Wow. Good for him.
But in there's depictions of the church, and at one point a
lot of people go to church.
He rides a stripper pole and goes down to hell and kills Satan.
Wait, he kills Satan?
In the video. I also think he gets railed by Satan.
Oh, what?
Oh no, he gives Satan a lap dance. Yep. He's given him a lap dance, and then he murders him.
Okay, that's how it ends. My first thought was like, oh, is he doing like a live action Doom audition? You know, because isn't that the point of Doom, the video game, to go to hell and kill Satan?
I have no idea. I just played it when I was a child.
Or I was thinking of, do you remember the movie Hero?
Big Hero 6?
No, although that's a good one too. But Hero with Jet Li.
The NBC show Heroes?
No, but
starring
that was
Hiro Nakamura? That
was a good 7 episodes. But no, the ancient
I Need a Hero, the song? I need a hero.
No.
Oh, then I'll do that. Don't get
it. The sandwich heroes.
Got it. Delicious.
Yeah, yum. But do you remember the movie with Jet Li? You son of a bitch.
No, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
All right. Brief synopsis. A guy is trying to get to meet the emperor, and he can only get to certain checkpoints because the emperor is so paranoid about being assassinated. He gets through the checkpoints by telling these fantastic stories on how he defeated former champions of wars and generals and stuff. And he keeps telling all these stories to the point where he gets an audience with the general face to face, and he gets to be within 50 paces. That's how close he can get. And the whole time he's telling the stories of how he bested all these people, the emperor puts it together that, well, wait a minute. If you defeated this champion and that person and took all their weapons and stuff, and you must be able to kill a person within 50 paces. And so, what if Lil Nas X had to become a stripper to get down to hell in order to get that close to Satan to murk his ass?
And then, here's where things get crazy. So
that's the normal part. That's the plain normal stuff.
Yep.
That seems logical. Okay.
Yeah. We'll say that's the reality, because in r/news this week, there's the post that says Lil Nas X's unofficial Satan Nikes containing human blood sell out in under 1 minute.
I read about this story because I follow a guy on Twitter who is part of the company that made these Nikes.
Yeah, and the company name is
Mischief, MSCHF, which is a great, fun app to sign up for. I think if anybody's looking for just some weird stuff, they are all marketers. There's 6 people. They work in Brooklyn, and
that today are getting sued by Nike, hardcore.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So this blew up, right? I don't know if you know this, but because of the music video, because of the song, and because of these shoes, the far right, what's her name? Gun Girl?
Newsom.
Governor
Newsom of one of the Dakotas.
Yeah, that politician, but then also, what's the girl's name?
Gun Girl? That describes so many people.
Caitlin Bennett. No, her title is Gun Girl. If you don't know this story, I will tell you this story.
That's the girl that pooped herself, right?
That's the girl who shit herself. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
She went after him. She had a post on her Twitter that was today is the day that I am happy that I am blocked by Lil Nas. To which He responded and said, I can still read your fucking posts. She responded with, because Lil Nas, if you don't know, is a black man. She responded with a very racist tweet that said, at least I still, or do you ever get to see your dad anymore or something?
Wow. Low blow.
To which he tweeted, yes, and maybe I'll fuck yours.
Damn.
All right, so this incredible story, it's woven around so many things with Nike, with the church, Lil Nas, Caitlyn Bennett. Hot take right now. I need to know where you land on this.
All right, so we're doing this. We've talked about it several times, but here we go. Quick side note: these shoes are in response to another drop that they did a couple of years ago, where they put holy water in Nike Air Maxes, and they called them like Jesus Nikes because you were technically walking on water. So these ones are Nike Air Maxes where they mix in blood with the paint, and yeah, it's totally fine because it's not gonna do anything. Like if you truly believe in a higher power, this is literally not threatening to anyone or anything, and you should get over it.
It's all sensationalized journalism, right?
It's literally for the clicks and to put your name in the news, because that's the only reason any logical conservative would respond to something like this.
I think a lot of this comes out of fear of the article that I just messaged you. So if you look in chat there was a Gallup poll that came out March 29th, and I think a lot of churches are feeling this. It says U.S. church membership falls below the majority for the first time.
What's the majority in this instance?
Yeah, so as you scroll down, it means that in 2020, 47% of U.S. adults belonged to a church, synagogue, or mosque. That's down more than 20 points from the turn of the century. So in there, by the way, if you're just interested in the stats around church membership, I'm going to post this link in the show notes, in the YouTube comments. Go read this because it shows something really fascinating, that from the 1940s through to kind of the mid 90s, church attendance or church membership was at about 70% the whole time. And from the early 2000s, it dropped from 70, and it's been steadily dropping consistently to 47%. 2015, it was at 55%, and 50, now 47%. It's really fascinating as you take a deep dive in here when you start to realize how many people are not choosing to go to church or believe, and like, what do we think that is going to impact in the United States?
I mean, do you think it's because of people living in their mom's basements and playing World of Warcraft?
No, I actually have a thought. I've heard regurgitated a few times over the last couple of weeks. But I want to know what your thoughts are. Why do you think attendance is going down?
Well, I think the age of information, or at least digital information, it has proven to be beneficial in terms of educating people on probably more than just the one religion or church lifestyle that they might have been born into. In the past, you read all those numbers, 70%. For so many people, you're in the nicest of terms, you're indoctrinated into one thing. And if your family's raised the same way they're raising you, they're not necessarily going out of their way to educate you on all of the other religions that exist. I didn't learn about other major religions until college. And at that point, I was pretty much gonna just be gung-ho about, number one, the religion that I was in, and number two, my career. I wasn't necessarily going for a religious studies major, so I was just gonna stick with what I knew. But I think in terms of a less nice view, if just speaking from my own personal kind of experience, the way the Catholic Church has responded to all of the controversies around priests messing with kids, I bet it turned so many people off, especially younger people who said, hey, if there's going to be no accountability, why should I support this?
So here's the message that if you go into the comments of the post, I mentioned it earlier as I was bringing up this whole story, from futurology. I've also heard this reiterated by a guy named Rhett McLaughlin, who runs a YouTube series called Good Mythical Morning. He was super religious from the South, and him and his friend who hosts the show both have left the church. They're in their 40s. You and I, millennials, as we look at how we were brought up, it was in the church. And fortunately for us, what we were taught was to be self-thinking, to love our neighbors, to be compassionate individuals. But the rhetoric that we continued to see exhibited by the veterans of the church, the leaders of the church, was more that it is a club, was more that it's like you're either in or you're out. You're going to follow our rules or you're going to be a part. You're going to die, right? You're a sinner. And it was this like hate relationship instead of support relationship, where religious institutions became a negative connotation and faith became an area where, because of a world of vast information, that more and more ways, it was easier for us to make the decision that, like, do I really believe in this? Are these things factually accurate? It brought up more questions than it brought up answers. And
Right.
I think because you're starting to see more and more millennials who are now on to their second children in many cases, right? Their first children were a few years ago, and now their second children are being born. They're all choosing to, or the vast majority, right? 53% are choosing to not go to church.
Oh boy, this is a rabbit hole, right? This is a 2-3 hour podcast where we invite several guests on to talk
Said it
about.
at the beginning. It's some tough stuff.
Right. But it will be really interesting to see how the millennial group and younger find a faith, because there's always going to be something to believe in. But what is going to be that thing that they decide to worship that's not a major religion? That's not a deity of some sort. How are they going to, I guess, carry forward the term faith? And are they going to believe in just themselves? Are they going to believe in institutions like government? You know, it'll be really interesting to see how this goes on as we get older.
And sadly, I don't think I have a really funny quip to end this conversation at, because this in no way, I think, is the end of this discussion. This is quite literally the beginning.
Yeah.
This is such a huge topic, and one that I think can trigger a lot of people and bring a lot of hate. So I just want to say at this part of the show, I in no way want someone to think that because they have a religious belief that I look at them differently. I very much agree that people should have their ability to or have faith in whatever way, believe in whatever they want. Just know that I am somebody who, through my years, through jobs and positions I've held in a church, don't.
Yeah,
I just don't.
And I think that's okay. If anybody's trying to glean from this program that we are kind of talking down on, any subject that we've covered in the past few minutes here, no, we're not saying one way or the other is the right way. If anything, I would say your ability to choose what is right for you is the right way. So if
Correct.
you want to go to church and try to find other people to go to church and get those numbers back up, cool. That's awesome. If you are in the now majority and think that going to church is a waste of time, that's also cool, because for you, it makes sense. And that's how you should live your life.
Do you ever feel that when you start talking about religion, it's like you're just moving down like a narrow road, and like there's so many guardrails, there isn't really you start and you have to go. There's no backtracking. Like, you're in the conversation.
It's like a country road that takes you home to the place where you belong.
Yeah, country road is a good analogy. Like a canal. Maybe you just want to be like, I don't know, you just want to turn around. You want to be like an evergreen. Just stop, get stuck in the Suez Canal.
Oh, you're talking about that boat everybody was on about.
Yeah, that. What the hell happened? Okay, so by the time this episode goes up, we are likely a week beyond when the thing happened. But
today it got unstuck. Right?
By an Egyptian crew who was able to like. How did they get the thing unstuck?
Lots of lube.
No more your mom jokes, Scott. I swear to Christ.
All right. I was gonna say, honestly, Willie, I haven't seen something this stuck since I was watching those step sibling videos. And seriously, just like in those videos, you'd think they would know how to get out, right? It's not something that you don't do every day. You drive the ship up and down the canal, probably, I don't know, how often do you think it would go through? That specific ship? Once a month?
I don't know. I mean, it's going around the continent of Africa, and then where's it coming? Where's it going to? Evergreen is a worldwide company, so that tanker could make it all the way to the U.S., could make it all the way to China. But you have this one narrow canal where you can barely fit 2 ships across. If you're totally out of the loop and you saw it all over Reddit and Twitter and memes everywhere about this thing,
every single news station.
Yeah, the TLDR is that there's a giant cargo ship that lost control because of a storm, and over the course of some miles, bumping and grinding along the vaginal canal, just got stuck. Too big.
Yeah.
It's like an evergreen, just always hard, ready to go year round.
I mean, if you look at it, it looks more like throwing a hot dog down a mine shaft, but it doesn't look like it should have gotten stuck, but somehow there it was, just totally incapacitating the world's trade system because it ran aground.
Yeah, and that was the only way to go across that continent. Some of my favorite ways that the internet just blew up around this was posted 7 hours ago as we're talking. Somebody modded it into Microsoft Flight Simulator. So you can fly a plane as you get to it. The oil tanker is stuck, or the oil tanker, I keep calling it that. The shipping container is stuck in the water.
Now, granted, this is like a super cargo ship, right? It all of those, I guess, container cargo things that you would see trucks pulling, semi-trucks. It has, 1,000 of these things piled up
easily on
here? And the only thing I've ever seen that's bigger than this is a ship that was designed to carry ships like this. That was a post this week.
You dodged your mom joke, and I appreciate your tactfulness there, Scott.
You're welcome. I'm trying to be a new Scott this week, but don't worry. There's plenty of episodes for that. But anyway, like in Star Wars, they said there's always a bigger boat, right? Or we're gonna need a bigger boat.
What was your favorite meme of the week from this?
I think one that's been going around more recently is Death, the embodiment of Death, the Grim Reaper, harvesting the memes when they've run their course. And it's a several panel one where it shows an image from the meme, and Death is walking up to it and says, "It's time to go." And the meme looks at Death and says, "Was I a good meme?" And Death would respond, usually with saying, "You were the best." And it would be the picture of them like walking into the bright light. But this one, the boat goes, "Is it time?" And Death goes, "It's time to go." And the boat goes, "Well, I can't." And Death goes, "Why not?" And the boat goes, "'Cause I'm stuck."
Oh, the internet, man. It's too clever. It's so good.
Speaking of things that could potentially bring the world to a standstill, I've got one here that's definitely going to be a showstopper. This is my last controversial topic for the show, so buckle up. This week, in r/news, the article reads, "Human penises are shrinking because of pollution, warns scientists." Willie?
Yes, Scott?
I think we now know.
We now know why. We know why. Listen, I have always been wondering, what's the solution here? I've heard people say that there's an extra 2 inches in you already. So if you just tug on it real hard, maybe you'll get an inch or two.
Yeah, tie some weights to it and, dangle off the side of the bed.
Sure.
Or
but pollution.
over your sink, right? Pollution, right. That's what we're focusing on here.
So the better question is, how does the gang solve for pollution?
Well, I think it's really interesting because they are literally going after everyone's baby makers right now. And this is where we could finally see some real action, right? For the majority of everyone's life, men have been in charge. The patriarchy has ruled supreme. So, what if this scientist was like, I've got a diabolical plan. We have done nothing for climate change. We've been complaining about it. We're pretty much at the event horizon where if we do nothing now, we're all done for. The planet's done for. Elon's going to have to fly us to Mars. And, he just tweets about Dogecoin all day long. So he's not even the most reliable source. What can we do to make the men who are in power of the world listen? And you'll have that meek person with the really thick glasses. They push them up and they slowly raise their hand in the back of the room. And they're like, I have an idea. And then the powerful CEO scientist says, who said that? You, nerdy looking nerd. Speak up. Come on. What if we told them that they would no longer grow big penises? Brilliant. So, do you think something's going to happen now that your junk is in trouble, Willy?
This has been a trying year for men who are concerned about penis size because it is also well, for many reasons, on top of now pollution shrinking the size of our penis. Apparently, COVID has been causing some erectile dysfunction in men.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And some men are losing their hair, Scott.
This is pre-COVID. This is definitely a condition of pre-COVID.
Okay, good. It's the pollution. Do you think that they could do ads, and the ads could feature, I don't know, maybe like the best, the most well-endowed porn stars just wearing gray sweatpants, being front and center on an ad. Dr. Fauci right next to them, right behind them. And this person where clearly, I mean, you kind of have to blur the sweatpants at this point if it's going to get past the FCC. And
so
they say,
it's from their belly button to their knee is blurred out.
Correct. So for some, it might go past the knee, and they'll just say in a really deep, ominous voice,
I've always lived off the land. And you know what that means?
This is the guy from Allstate commercials.
Look at the size of my...
You know what? I think we're gonna solve the environment right away. I mean, it could be a windmill commercial. Only shown in red states.
I'm just gonna say it right here on the show that by the end of 2021, we're gonna have a solution for climate change. Just like the song says, "Mama, don't let your sons grow up to be cowboys." We're gonna flip that switch. Lil Nas X might even come out with a remix of it called "You Can't Spell Happiness Without
Your Stepsister." Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. If you want to get a hold of us throughout the internet, we are all over the place.
Just like our show.
But you can find us on, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can find the link to that in the YouTube description. And if you want to watch the YouTube, you can find that in the podcast description.
If you want to get a hold of us on our Instagram, you can find us at
Sub for that.
If you want to tweet at us, you can find us at
Sub the number 4 that.
If you want to send us spam emails like Marlon, you can reach us at
subforthatpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to get a little personal, Scott and I both have a personal account. Scott is
at Scott Gurrola on Twitter.
And I am WildMN293.
And remember, no matter what you're into, whether it's imaginary mindscapes,
Smash Bros,
moldy interesting,
or not the onion,
there's a sub for that.